Hi, welcome back. Today we're in Istanbul, today we're in Istanbul and we have already gotten on board Regent Seven Seas Voyager. I'm very excited. It's a 9-day voyage. We're going through Greece and Croatia and Montenegro and winding up in Italy, so come along with me. Welcome to Embarkation Day on Regent Seven Seas Voyager. We were able to board early on Embarkation Day, which was great, so we headed straight to La Veranda, which is on deck 11, for a quick lunch. La Veranda is the buffet-style restaurant on board, and I ate there many more times for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which you'll see in a few minutes, but everything is always delicious, fresh, and I couldn't wait to go back. I'm in a deluxe veranda suite on deck 6, which is perfect for one, but can also definitely fit two. The bathroom is pretty spacious, has a walk-in shower and a tub, and I was also treated to some really lovely bath amenities. I took a lot of them with me, not gonna lie. They smell really fantastic. As you walk further into the suite, you notice that I have a full walk-in closet where I was able to put all of my clothes and my shoes. And in the bedroom area, there's a small vanity area where I sat to put my makeup on every day. The bed was extremely comfortable. It's a queen-size bed, and there's also a really nice spacious living room right next to the bedroom area. We also have a really large writing desk and reusable water bottles for when you're on board. You can refill them at any of the stations on board. My favorite part of the room was my private balcony. Sometimes I sat out there with my coffee, afternoon champagne, or nothing, just a book, and just watched life go by. After I finished unpacking, we headed back up to deck 11 for the sail away party. It was blazing hot out there, which will be a common theme for the rest of the cruise, but nonetheless, it was beautiful. There were snacks, live music, and before I knew it, we were sailing out of Istanbul and straight to Mykonos. Hello from Mykonos. We've been here all day pretty much. The ship got in at about 2:30. I actually had to do a little check for my passport, a random face-to-face check with passport control. Got that over with and then went over to the island. It was absolutely beautiful. It's really easy to get lost around there, so I wouldn't recommend just walking around like very much a maze. But it was a really good time. Got a sticker for my luggage. That's something I like to do whenever I go somewhere new. Get a new sticker. So that's all done. Now we're heading to dinner at the steakhouse on the ship, which is called Prime 7. It's one of 2 specialty restaurants, and let's get going. I'll be honest with you, I was gonna wear something fancy dancy, and I was like, let me just throw this on. You know what I mean? It's easy. It's easy. And some flat shoes, because, to be candid, my feet are killing me from walking around all day. So we're just gonna wear this. Actually, I got this on another cruise ship. Maybe less than a year ago. It was very lightweight, which is perfect for today. Prime 7 is located on deck 5, close to the center of the ship. It's one of 2 specialty restaurants on board, and while there's no upcharge, you will want to make sure you make a reservation. Everyone's guaranteed to go at least once, but you can put yourself on the wait list in case you want to go again. I wasn't so lucky, so we only got to go one time. I began the meal with some fresh bread and butter and a very strong cosmopolitan that I actually had to send back. Not that it wasn't delicious, just very strong. The meal began with a smoky tomato soup, which was absolutely delicious. I probably could have had an entire bowl of that. For my appetizer, I selected the ahi tuna and avocado poke, which came with soy sesame dressing, macadamia nuts, sushi rice, cucumber, and cilantro. It was absolutely fresh and delicious, and I cleaned my plate. For their entrees, my parents both went with the dough risole, which was served with a caper lemon sauce and deboned at the table. I opted for the 6-ounce filet mignon, which I had served with a green peppercorn sauce. I asked for it medium rare, a little closer to medium for my taste, but it was still phenomenal. 10 out of 10. I didn't order dessert from the menu, but a couple of sweet treats came out to cap off the meal. Hello, today we're in Athens. And we're going on a nice tour about I think it's called Traditional Greek Dishes. So we're going to take a little bus ride into the city center, take some pictures, and then go to a restaurant and try some Greek dishes. So let's get out of here. It's very hot today. Apparently it's 100 degrees. So I said, I'm not putting, except for my eyebrows, no makeup on my face because it's going to be dripping all over everywhere. Nobody needs that. So I just put on a ton of sunscreen and hopefully it's not too hot. Probably need to bring some water with me, right? The first half of the tour was spent in and out looking at some of the sights and scenes of Athens. It was very hot, probably 100 degrees that day, so I ducked in and out of a couple of stores to get some relief. Despite the heat, it was nonetheless beautiful. At around noon, we made it to the restaurant where we'd be having our lunch. We had to climb quite a few stairs to get to the rooftop section of the restaurant, but as you'll see in a few seconds, the panoramic views were worth it. Because really, who can complain when you have the Acropolis over your shoulder while you're enjoying a beautiful Greek lunch? The meal began with French fries and tzatziki, which was a combination I never knew I needed, but it was really delightful, a nice hot and cool sensation. And you know we had to have a Greek salad in Greece. It just tastes so much fresher. The feta is so mild. It's just fantastic. Nothing better. The main course was a mixed grill with chicken, beef, I think there was lamb on there, some roasted tomatoes. It was absolutely delicious. Also, did I mention they poured a very sturdy glass of wine, which I didn't complain about? And you know what's interesting? I always found that the table wine was very good. You really can't go wrong there. White, red, it's all good. Now let's go to Jimmy for the full report on the lunch. All right, Jimmy, how did you enjoy the lunch?
Actually it was delightful. Having the Greek experience, the chicken on the spigot, the Greek salad, the tahini, lovely. And the best of all is the Greek wine.
Damn. Welcome to Santorini! Today's excursion is called Shopping in Santorini, but I definitely wasn't going to get off the ship before having our champagne and caviar breakfast, which is only served on Sundays. Once breakfast was finished, we boarded the coach for about a 20-minute drive over to Ia so we could spend the entire morning shopping through the town. And Santorini is just as beautiful as any picture can describe. The first shop we went into was the only one that we actually purchased anything from, and it was a beautiful shop. I can't even imagine getting ready to go to work every day, and this is your view. Can you imagine? Who can be mad at this? There are so many beautiful shops. You can get jewelry, clothes, wine, olive oil, anything you can think of to cap off your experience in Santorini, you can find it. We stopped off at a little cafe for a quick glass of Prosecco, and once the shopping experience was done, we headed back on the cable car and back to the ship. Whew, after lunch, I had to take a nap. I don't know what it was, but I was just a little too tired just to keep going. But I took a nap, feel much better. Went out to the pool for a few minutes, played some ping pong. That was super fun. And now we're heading up to dinner at the Italian restaurant, which is the same thing as the first restaurant we went to, La Veranda. But at night, it turns into an Italian restaurant. But there's no reservations, so you have to line up, basically, right when they open to get in. So, heading up there right now. Thankfully, there wasn't a huge line, so we were able to get right into the restaurant. Each table comes with a great assortment of antipasti appetizers. So you have some bread, breadsticks, cheese, olives, focaccia, bruschetta, mozzarella, all of it. And just like at breakfast and lunch, there's also a hot and cold buffet. So you can get up, pick out what you want and bring it back to the table. Those desserts looked very enticing. I'm not going to tell you a lie. I began with the spaghetti carbonara, which was silky, delicious, smoky, just everything you can think of when you want carbonara. And then I went with the cioppino, which had a ton of fresh shellfish, lobster, fish, just absolutely fresh and delicious. I picked the bowl clean. Oh, hello. It is late afternoon, probably around 5 o'clock, almost 6 o'clock. It was a beautiful day in Corfu. So as you can see, it was really stunning, beautiful area. Had a little bit of lunch. It was actually not supposed to be a lunch. It was supposed to be snacks, but there was just food everywhere. There was a whole chicken thigh on the table and just meat everywhere, a mixed grill. So I am not super hungry, but we are going to one of the nicer restaurants on board, which is called Chartreuse. Every restaurant on board is very nice, but this is one of the specialty restaurants where I can only go once because it's a short cruise. So only one time, everyone is guaranteed to go. So I had to take a quick bath, to be candid with you, because it was hot out there today, maybe 100 degrees. It was close to 100 degrees. Had to take a bath, so I'm just relaxing right now before dinner. And yeah, we will head up there. Hopefully I can go another day, but we'll see. There's no guarantees. I'm just enjoying the rest of the afternoon. Oh, I forgot to mention, tomorrow we are going to be in the most beautiful port that I think I've ever sailed into, ever. And it's the port of Kotor, Montenegro. When I tell you, I'm going to try to get up early so I can film everything. It looks really like okay, think of it this way. You know, in a Disney movie, when you look at these little fairy tale villages, how pretty they look, that is exactly what it looks like. I guarantee you Disney came over here and was like, oh, this would be the perfect place to make into a fairy tale Disney village. It looks just like that. I promise. It's absolutely amazing. So stay tuned for that. It's the best. If you can ever sail into it, it is the most beautiful port I've ever seen. Chartreuse is described as a restaurant with a modern French menu, and I would say it's the most formal, traditional, fine dining restaurant on board. The restaurant is only open at dinner, so make sure you book ahead to avoid disappointment, because I was only able to go once, unfortunately, and it was so good. I wish I could have gone more than once. Once we were seated, we made our bread selection and bread and butter selection. One had truffle and one had seaweed. I went with the truffle because why not? I don't think I've ever said no to a truffle in my life, and I'm not starting today. We selected a French wine because we're in a French restaurant. Why not? And it went down an absolute treat. My starter was outstanding. It was the smoked salmon, trio of blinis, and a dill Normandy cream. I could have eaten 500 plates of that, let's be clear. I then moved on to the lobster bisque. Smoky, delicious, flavorful. Could not go wrong. Absolutely outstanding. I then went with the chef recommendation of the beef tenderloin with brioche, truffle, foie gras. It was very rich, but very delicious. I couldn't eat the whole thing, but it was so good. Didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you how pretty Kotor is? It's an absolute dream. Once we got off the ship, we took about a 45-minute ride up the coast to Clincy, which is where our lunch and cooking class was going to take place. But not before we took a few pictures of the sights, which frankly, pictures do not show it justice. It's absolutely breathtaking. Arrived, we were seated outside and were treated to quick appetizers of olives, tomatoes, and the freshest cheese I think I've ever tasted. It was so simple and delicious, and the views couldn't be beat. We also sampled some really delicious Bosnian wine, which is called Zalavka. Like I said, every table wine that I had on this vacation was really delightful. Today's menu was sea bass, and the chef started by salting the grill so the sea bass wouldn't stick to the grill. Genius! He cooked them whole and then just seasoned them simply with some salt and some rosemary on the inside. And we were also able to have a really delicious dipping sauce to go alongside and a simple potato salad. Once the fish were done cooking on one side, he flipped to the other side and it smelled absolutely fantastic. Also, I met a new friend named Orto. Hi, Orto! We were each treated to a whole fish. It was succulent, tender, and the dipping sauce went perfectly. 10 out of 10. After the excursion was over, we took the tender ride back to the ship and just enjoyed the rest of the beautiful day in Montenegro. If you can get here once in your life, it's worth it. It's one of the most breathtaking places I've ever seen. Today is our final day with an excursion, and we capped it off with a nice yacht tour through Dubrovnik, Croatia. The first part of the tour is going to take us through the old town of Croatia, then we'll stop off at another smaller island for lunch, so let's get going! Now, some of you might be thinking, this looks a little bit familiar. Where have I seen this place before? There's a little HBO show called Game of Thrones that was filmed here, so that's why everything looks so familiar. I actually haven't finished Game of Thrones, which I know is crazy, but they filmed a lot of it right here in Dubrovnik. We sailed past some of the sights of the old town before we headed to our next island where we would be enjoying our beautiful seaside lunch. We arrived relatively early, so it was only us at the restaurant. It was private, the water is absolutely spectacular, and you really can't beat those views. One thing that really struck me was just how clear the water was. After lunch, a few of the guests even decided to go swimming. I didn't bring a bathing suit, so I didn't go, but I was jealous of the ones who did. We started off with a little bit of bread. The one on the right is black. It tasted the same as the other one. And this really lovely antipasti spread with meat, cheese, olives. Everything was fresh as usual. And we capped it off with a thinly pounded steak and some very garlicky spinach, although I like garlic, so it didn't bother me. And a cheesecake to finish it off. Now it's the saddest part of the trip, disembarkation day. Our flight out of Venice left at about 2 p.m., so we had time for one last breakfast on the ship, which we took in Compass Rose, the main restaurant on board. Historically, we've always gone back to La Veranda or any kind of buffet restaurant for the last meal on board, but this was so much more civil, quiet, there was no hustle and bustle down there, and we were really able to enjoy our last meal on the ship. And not only a meal, you know I had to have one more champagne to go. Thank you so much for watching my video. I really appreciate it. If you could like and subscribe, I would love it, and I'll see you on the next trip.